All right. Episode 2 of the preseason. We're going into season 2 of the pod. What's going on, boys? How we doing?
Doing great. It's Tuesday.
Doing
I
great.
love it.
It's Tuesday, and we're officially 19 days before draft day. Tanner's Place, September 3rd. Narrowed down the time, I think 6 p.m. Getting all the boys together. So gotta be excited about that one.
Pumped.
Yeah, we got a jam-packed show. We're gonna continue our segment from last week of what's on your brain. We're going to pick Christian's brain a little bit. He'll kind of give us 2 or 3 things that he's been thinking about. We'll give off-season trade grades. We got 7 of them. We got a bunch. We're active in the off-season, and then we'll go through some AFC players that we like and dislike, and a wild card. Yeah, the only thing that really happened was Craig trading, or not trading, Craig changing up keepers. He swapped Brees Hall back kind of with the Dalvin news, and got Rashad White in the 9th, but could be a 10th round keeper, but he doesn't have that pick. So what do you guys think about that move?
I think it's the right move for Craig. I mean, Brees is the better player, but
Yeah.
we'll get
Yeah.
more into it a little bit. But I mean, with Dalvin going there, they're not signing him for 8 mil to sit on the bench and be a decoy. Like, plus Brees coming off the injury, it's tough to use a 3rd round pick on him. I think keeping White's the right play.
And
I
I'm
agree.
yeah, kind of guessing he probably goes around, and he probably goes in the 3rd again, right? Brees 3rd, 4th, somewhere in there. So yeah, I think the value of White is the right call. I'm gonna hand over the floor. Christian, what's on your brain, buddy? What are you thinking
Mhm.
about with the draft approaching and football approaching?
Yeah, I'll kind of segue it in from the Dalvin talk, but obviously the 2 big signings with Zeke and uh with Dalvin, I on my brain a little bit, just like it was kind of funny because the Zeke news came out and then it was like you couldn't even take a breath, and then it's like, oh fuck, like Dalvin signing now. And of course both are in the same division as my favorite team, so but that's outside of fantasy. But yeah, it's like now who's the next domino? Is it gonna be Leonard? Is it, I don't know. I expect a couple more guys to kind of get moved around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I that definitely threw me for a loop because those are huge fantasy implications. Like Ramondre and Brees were both top 3 round picks. So yeah, I mean, and now where do you put Dalvin? Where do you put Zeke? So yeah, I mean, were you guys as surprised as I was? I mean, I wasn't so surprised about Dalvin going to New York, but Zeke going to New England kind of threw me for a loop a little bit.
I think that, I was hoping that there wasn't going to be another running back going to New England, but I'm not surprised by it. Let's just
Sure.
say that. Bill loves his running backs. He loves to fuck it up for fantasy purposes. He doesn't give a shit, obviously. Um, I'm just hoping, it's not quite a committee. I don't think it will be. It doesn't really deter me from Ram, especially in the 5th, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting though, especially like you're saying, those guys where they're going to go now. Obviously, not in the first 3 5 rounds, but sometime after and whatnot. So
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like the point of the next domino to fall, right? Where's Kareem Hunt go? Where's Leonard Fournette go? Yeah. Cool,
Yep.
buddy. What else you got on your brain?
Yeah, on a lighter note, but still kind of like what the hell? We start talking about the draft time, and did anybody else know that Dirk had a draft at 5 p.m.? Like
No.
when did that come
dude's,
up?
dude's
Like,
going to be double dipping.
well, I'm just wondering, like, we're over here, we have Rhodey coming into town, we have Marcus coming into town, and then, we're trying to get all the boys together, all 10 of us for the first time in several years, at least 5 years. And and we have a 5 p.m. draft that we're worrying about, and we can't even get together till 6. Like, the boys are going to be buzzing. Like, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm
maybe we'll
concerned.
maybe we'll get to help Derek with his draft, and it was all part of his plan.
I'm assuming the wife has to be drafting that one for him, right?
Yeah, it caught me off guard as well. It was definitely a surprise. I'm with you there. Yeah, we'll have to pace ourselves until 6 p.m. But I agree. We'll see who's pacing it and who's not.
Yeah. And lastly, I don't know anything about the new that online thing that came up today, but I'm just gonna, I'll be the old geezer and just kind of let that slide and just let Rhodey do his thing.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I actually texted a little bit with Kyle here. It sounds like it's like you can go like cross platform a little bit, and like he can like easily cross off the keepers or easily kind of like look at teams across platforms. So
Like my thought was like he's like trying to sync. Do you need that to sync up to like Fantasy Pros if you
I
have a
think right,
subscription, and then
right,
because I know you can do kind of stuff like that with that or whatever. But
right. That's
that's
my
what I thought of
understanding, but
instantly.
I'm with you too, man. I definitely had to ask. So I was the old geezer myself with my Excel document that I bring to the draft, and
Yeah.
I,
No, but hey, you know what? I'm all for, change and expansion and we'll go from there. But
yeah,
that's all my brain can handle.
I love it, buddy. I love it. I love
Good
hearing
stuff.
it's good stuff. I love what I think you're thinking what we were all thinking. So your brain is similar to all of our brains. So I dig
Great
it.
minds think alike.
I,
Exactly.
I dig it. 7 trades to give out grades to here. And if I remember right, this first trade happened like back in January. So it's been a long off season with this trade or with this group. But yeah, it is. I mean, the first one's between me and Christian. So
Do you
I
have
get
these? Do you have these in chronological order?
yes, I do. Yep,
Wow,
I do.
impressive.
I know. Yeah, it kind of works out with the Excel, and I just kind of write them
Yeah,
out.
no, it's fine. It's impressive, Matthew.
Thanks, buddy. So yeah, me and Christian, I gave him Jalen Waddle, and we swapped a 4th for a 6th. Um, yeah, Debbie, what do you think about it? It's mine and Christian's grades. Obviously, like we're both happy with it, right?
Right. And I'm gonna say, it's kind of touched on last week. This league is smart. And I don't think it's going to be a spoiler or anything like that because we haven't talked about any of these trades amongst us really yet. But I don't see any. There's not really any bad trades, anymore. Or
No.
some are better than others. Yeah, probably. But like, there's nothing. I don't think there's going to be Fs or anything like that. People are figuring out what works for their team, how it's going to work for the other team, and everybody's happy. I
Mhm.
love Waddle. I love him even more getting him as late as Christian is, and then getting a 6 on top of it, and you're getting a 4th.
Yeah.
There's
And
just a lot to love on both sides of that. You see why it was made, and you can't complain. Give it an A.
yeah. Yeah. And I should say Waddle being a 9th round keeper, right? Like
That's what it was.
pretty freaking late, right? Hard to give up. I think he was my second best keeper, like outside of Chase. So but yeah, I thought a 4th for a 6 was a good return for me too. So moving on here, next one between you two, Dev and Christian. So this is for Justin Fields, who was a 6th round keeper. Devi gives up Fields for Christian's 10th, and then Christian gets Dev's 15th. I'll give out grades here. I thought it was fair, right? I mean, anything past like a 8th rounder, I'm gonna say you're not really giving up much, and Dev wasn't going to keep him, right? And Justin Fields has a chance to, win to wreck fantasy football, right? To win weeks all by himself here. So
Would you have gone higher? Could I have gotten more than a 10? Would you have gone like
No.
8?
See, I was thinking I almost gave up too much, but well, and just only because we had to keep Fields as a 6th,
6.
Right.
being
Yeah.
a free. If Fields was an 8th rounder or an 11th rounder or a 12th rounder, I for sure would have sweetened the price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
I'm
being
not
a 6th
complaining. I'm not
rounder,
complaining about the 10th. I'm just
well, no, 100%. And I mean,
yeah.
like, and I look back at my team last year and like I had so many keepers that I traded away. Like I had Amon Ra, I had Cup, I had Pollard, I had a lot of guys last year that I gave away to go for broke, but it didn't pay off, obviously. But yeah, I mean, so I went into the season kind of thinking like, I want a couple of my guys, and Fields was my guy, and Waddle was obviously like my guy in two respects. So I'm happy I came away with it. I mean, I think the values were fair.
For sure.
Yeah.
Got to get your guy.
And like I'm fine with trading for keepers at this point. I think like the most important thing going into the draft is like having two stud keepers, with value. I really do. Like paying a little bit for it here and there, like I'm cool with it at this point. Trade number 3 happened a couple weeks ago. Me and Craig, we swapped a 8th and a 15th for picks. I got Travis Etienne. I gave up Ramrod and Breece Hall. It looks a little different now than like 2 weeks ago, right? When we made this trade, definitely. What are you guys' thoughts here? This is my trade. I'm not going to give out grades here.
Yeah, I think just my opinion right off the bat, you gave up Ramondre, you gave up Breece, you gave up the 2 best players, but you also got arguably the best keeper in the league besides Chase, at least in my opinion. Yeah. So, and I feel like it was a totally fair trade on both sides. I liked what Craig did. I thought Craig made a good move. Unfortunately, he just kind of caught the shitty end of the stick with the, the outcomes that just came. But I grade wise, I'd probably give you more of an A- and him like a B+. Like,
I totally fair, right? When you add Zeke and you add Dalvin to those backfields, like shit looks different, obviously, right?
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, and like 2 seconds later, we got another thing in the group chat between Craig and Dev, and Craig sat on Ramrod for those 2 seconds and gave Ramrod to Devin and swapped first and second rounders. So Craig moves up to like the 4 pick now, I believe, and Dev, you're back at the turn, right?
Yep.
Yeah. For Ramondre.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I am personally the belief where like I like kind of like the first 15 picks. So I really don't mind Devin moving back at all, right? Like he's out of Tyreek, he's out of Bijan, he's out of Barkley, but like I don't mind that turn, and like I still have some value in Ramondre, so I'll probably give a similar grade like we did last time, right? Where I lean Dev a little bit, but I mean Craig's making moves, he's moving up to get his guy, whoever that might be. So, maybe like a for Dev and like a B+ for Craig, once again, just kind of a
yeah, I don't need to add much more. I do love Craig being aggressive though, and going up and getting above certain guys that he's gonna be able to draft his player now.
I want to see who he picks.
You kind of know the top 2. The top 2 picks. I mean, between myself and the second pick, like between me and Eric, you kind of know who those 2 guys are, barring anything crazy. Yeah, I mean, being where Craig is now is a huge advantage. It is.
Yeah, I mean the draft starts at 4, in my opinion.
Right.
And it starts with Craig, so we'll see. This is kind of under radar trade. I actually texted Tyler. I like this trade for Tyler a lot, but Tanner gives up Amari Cooper, who I think is a 10th round keeper. He gets an 8th out of it. Tyler gets a 15th and Cooper back. Tyler was originally on Higgins in the 7th, moves back to Cooper in the 10th. That's kind of why I, sent that text saying, hey, congrats, similar tiered players in my opinion, right? Higgins and Cooper, but he moves back 3 rounds, and Tanner gets something for someone he wasn't going to keep. So like, I don't know, B+ for the both of them, but I guess what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Tanner gets something, and I like, I think I like Cooper even more than Higgins, and then 3 rounds later, you can't complain. So
right.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
these next two is just Christian moving around the board, man. You know, he's
Yeah,
moving.
there was some movement there.
He's moving back just to get back up. You know, Christian gets Tyler's second and fourth. Tyler moves up to get Christian's first and eighth. So now Tyler has 2 first-round picks. Christian
Ooh.
had 2 second-round picks, but that quickly got flopped, right? He gave up his 2 second-round picks to Marcus. He got the 101 and a 6-rounder in return. What do you think about Christian's movements here, Dev? What are you thinking?
It's crazy. You're
It's
crazy.
crazy.
You're a crazy person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want to look at it again when the draft is done, because I want to see who is
Sure.
available, who went with those 2 seconds. He gets the number 1 pick. You know, he gets his Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson
Yeah.
or Bijan or no, I like it. I like it. I'm not too flattered about the 2 first-round picks there, but for Tyler, but it is what it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think it's going to work out for you, and I think again, everybody's going to be happy with it. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really looked at it enough. I don't know.
Sure. Christian, what was your thoughts there to move back and
Yeah.
then to move back up?
Yeah, I mean,
What were you
so
thinking?
my initial thought was like where I was in the first round, being at that 7th spot. I felt like who I was going to get there was really not a whole lot different than what I was going to get in my 2nd round pick. Like you're kind of looking at the same tier player, unless you really value, especially like with the JT news. Like, I'll be 100% honest. When I was at 7, I was like praying for JT for a long time.
Mhm.
And then I was like, all the news is coming out. And then I'm like, okay, so I back into 2. I was like, my biggest thing was getting that 4th round pick back from the Waddle trade. Because I do think with a lot of players coming back, I think you're going to see a better 4th round than you typically would, this year. So,
Absolutely.
but then I was like, oh, so then when I was sitting with 2 2nd round picks, I'm like, I'm in a good spot with my quarterback. I'm in a good spot with my, probable number 1 wide receiver, because with my 2 2nd round picks, I'm going to get good players, but they're probably going to be pretty, good players. But I was like, I feel like what's really going to help me get over the top is just getting that top guy. So, and I wanted to trade to number 1 in case an injury happened, because there's obviously the 2 top guys. I think the top 2 guys are pretty set in stone for a lot of people. So I just kind of made it safe for myself to get that number 1 pick in case, God forbid, something happens. Yeah. So I got a little bit in return. I was able to, get an extra 6 round pick. So now in addition to keeping Fields in the 6th, I still have 2 6 rounders. So I think I'm going to have to really dig deep in those first 6 rounds and really hit, but I'm not going to complain about getting McCaffrey or Jefferson along with Fields and Waddle, because I feel like no matter who I take, I'm going to have a possible QB1 and a possible running back 1 or a possible receiver 1. So, and I feel like typically that's a pretty good recipe to make playoffs, at least. So we'll see.
For sure.
No, I agree with that. That helps hearing that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I think Marcus got a lot of shit for moving out of the 101, but I thought it was a fair trade. I thought 2 seconds for the 101 and a 6. Like, I think I hit up Christian saying, nice job moving around the board. And I think I hit up Marcus saying, like, hey, I still like what comes in the 2nd round, so.
Oh, for sure. Especially when he gets to keep Kelsey and he's getting Smith. I mean, yeah.
He's already got 2 studs,
He'll be just fine. He'll be just fine.
He's already got 2 studs. Might as well take a couple more bites at the apple, a couple seconds. So I like it. AFC players. Our categories we're going to talk about player we like, player we dislike, and then just like a wild card. Like, hey, like I took wild card as like I got no freaking clue. Like dude could boom, dude could bust.
Right.
I might be in, I might be out, like depending on where he goes. So I don't know who. Any of you guys want to start us off here? I feel like I've been talking a lot here. Why don't one of you guys start us off with your AFC players?
Go ahead, Dev.
Sure. So the AFC player that I liked, wide receiver 21, Maddie has him listed here, DeAndre Hopkins. I was thinking about putting him and I wasn't going to, and I'm a big Burks guy, that. And I think that there is, again, we'll see how it goes, but another kind of a little bit of a more of a discount again with him, and we know what he can do. And I think that him and Burks, are the two big dogs in that offense. I mean, obviously with Henry and whatnot, but I think there's some sneaky appeal there. And I honestly think they're going to benefit from each other. And I think D-Hop is still going to be, a target hog in that offense. So I think just really going to open things up. So I like him, and I'm curious to see where he ends up going. So
Yeah, for sure, buddy. I agree. Hopkins as your wide receiver too. Can't complain there.
no.
Why don't you kind of run through your whole list here? Give us your dislikes and your wild card too.
Okay. Yeah, my dislike, I put Isaiah Pacheco at RB 29. But I think you can group the Kansas City running backs all together. McKinnon's back. CEH is still there doing something, but not much. But Pacheco is going to be the main guy, and they got this Prince guy, preseason bullshit, but whatever. But it's just kind of a lot going on there. And Pacheco's kind of had some, preseason injury stuff, which I'm not concerned about or by any means, but I just don't really know what the usage is going to be like. So I'm just not too sure I'll have much shares of that. So
yeah, I totally agree.
And then my wild card was Najee,
Olay.
big Najee guy. But again, I'm not quite sure. He had some lingering stuff last year. I mean, I think his rookie year he finished like RB4 or something like that. Crazy. And then he obviously dipped down with some injury stuff and some foot stuff or whatever. The guy behind him, Jalen Warren, he's turning heads and and whatnot. So I don't know. Pittsburgh offense just, is he going to return to that workhorse role or not? So he's kind of just a wild card. But
Yeah.
I don't hate the guy.
No, I agree. I liked him better when he was like running back 15 consensus. I felt a little better about that. Running back 11 might be a little rich.
Yep.
A little rich, but I agree. I mean, can he end RB5 again? Like I see a path, I do.
Yep.
I like it. Christian, what do you got, buddy? AFC players.
Yeah, I'll segue into the Steelers, the player I like. There's no surprise. I'm a George Pickens fan. I think what he's shown in a brief little 1-game stint in his preseason, obviously he had a big play, but he's just one of those guys that he's just a fucking dog. Like he goes out and he plays, and he's gonna make those crazy one-handed catches like he made last year. And I feel like he's gonna have those boom weeks where I'm willing to put him in my flex spot and feel comfortable every week. He may end up with a week of 3 catches for 30 yards, but I'll live with that when I can get the one game where he has 5 for 102 and 2 touchdowns. Like
for sure.
He's gonna have those big plays. Yeah, so kind of sticking in the same, all 3 of my categories are actually receivers. Player I dislike, it actually is a combination of players. It's the Chargers receivers. You can't trust them. You don't know what's going on. Keenan's getting hurt. He can't stay healthy. Mike Williams is talented as shit too. He can't stay healthy. You bring a first-round rookie in. Is he going to be the guy? Like, I don't know. Like, he's kind of a clone of Mike Williams. So it's like, who do I take? It's like, I'd almost rather just take a flyer on fucking Josh Palmer in the last round or something. It's like, I mean, I'm sure one of them will do well, but last year Herbert had an absolutely terrible fantasy year. I think he'll bounce back, but that is the Eckler show. in Los Angeles. It just is. So
Yeah.
he scores a lot of touchdowns, and even some of Herbert's touchdowns go to Eckler. So
Mhm.
I don't trust the Chargers receivers as far as I can throw them. So I'm staying away. Keep that in your notes for the draft. My wild card, I don't know how anybody could choose another wild card other than this guy. Kadarius Toney has to be up there as one of the top wild cards.
He was on
I'm
my
sad I
he was
missed
on my
that.
short he was on my short list. Yep.
He that dude can put up a game, especially with Mahomes, and obviously is based off Mahomes because if they're doubling on Kelsey, Kadarius is going to be open. He's going to put up some numbers. But if he's healthy and if he can stay on the field and not be an asshole, because I know Andy Reid, he probably won't take shit. So, I like Kadarius. I would take a flyer on him, but I'm not going to be the guy that reaches for him. And I do think there will be a player. I'm sorry, a person in this draft. I don't know who, but I do think someone's going to take him a round or two earlier than I probably would.
Mhm.
So.
That guy's name is Craig Flaherty.
I was just gonna say that's Craig.
I'm not gonna. I didn't throw anything.
No, he epitomizes wild card. I'm with you. AFC player I still like. Brees Hall, running back 16. Dalvin Cook, like I don't care. There will be
That's your boy. You have a soft spot for him.
Yeah, there
Loves
will be
him.
a time where Brees Hall dominates football again. I think that time is this year. It might not be right away. Dislike might be a little spicy for some people, but Jerry Jeudy, and I just don't get how is he wide receiver 22? Dude hasn't done anything in 4 years now. Like
Right.
last year we were picking Sutton over Jeudy, but now this year like Judy's wide receiver 22 and Sutton's like wide receiver 60. Like doesn't make sense to me.
Stud.
I just won't own Jeudy, I'm guessing. And then my wild card, uh, another guy who I just think epitomizes wild card is James Cook. Like, is he the lead back in Buffalo? Does it matter if he's the lead back in Buffalo? Is he the goal line back in Buffalo? Like, does that matter? Like, does anyone outside of Diggs and Josh Allen even really fricking matter? Is kind of what I'm thinking. And like, can he also end like running back 15? Like, maybe. He definitely could. Maybe. So yeah, so that's our AFC players. Zoom is telling us we got a couple minutes here, so we're gonna wrap this up. Next week's pod is we're gonna pick Dev's brain. That is always a dangerous thing, right? To see to see what lands in Dev's brain, but
Buckle up.
we're gonna pick Dev's brain. We're gonna have a conversation about tanking, maybe, right? I think just kind of getting ahead of that, right, and kind of seeing what our thoughts are here, and then we'll go over NFC players. 19 days to the draft. It's craziness. I'm getting more and more excited day by day, though, for sure. So
I'm excited to see how much pull the pod has leading up to the draft, and see if any of these players we like or dislike factor into draft night.
Yeah, it's always. I mean, I think we always give honest like players here, right? It's not the A+ stuff, but these are honestly players I like and dislike, and
For sure.
I view as a wild card. So yeah, it'll definitely be fun to see here. Yeah, till next time, boys. We'll get back at it again next week.
Sounds good.
All right,
Cheers.
later.